The last lesson in this session has to do with copying, moving, and deleting your data. Obviously, there's going to be a time when you're going to need to move things around in your spreadsheet, or you're going to need to copy and paste things from one place to another. And Excel has some unique features that make that easier. For example, we all know the copy-paste that's up in our standard toolbar. So if I select this row of data and I go up to my copy button, you can just see it here because it's recently used. I'll hit copy, select my destination. Now I've copied 4 cells. So when I select the destination, I have to think to myself, I'm going to get 4 containers worth of data. If I select this as my destination cell, it's going to fill D6, E6, F6, and G6. So I want to select it where I know that I want to paste that data. And then I'll go up here and select paste. And you can see the dancing marquee stays around my original selection to show the point of origin of this information. And then I get the data placed here. And it's highlighted and selected and ready to go. The icon that's appeared at the end of my selection, it looks just like the paste icon we have up in our standard toolbar. That is called a smart tag. Smart tags appear as contextual menus that will help you modify the action that you just took. It's something that you can do as an afterthought. Again, it's the Office development team trying to make your life easier and make Excel more intuitive for those who are just using it or just want to use it faster. Smart tags, if I can go over here and click, gives me more options as I'm pasting into this group of cells. So I can, for instance, keep source formatting, which is the default. Or I can match destination formatting. So if I'm pasting over a group of cells or pasting into a bunch of cells that have formatting applied, it will match the information I'm pasting into that formatting. That formatting might be bolding or colors or numerical formatting. As you can see, the next choice, values and number formatting. So it's going to take the values that I'm copying and apply the formatting that's inside the cells that I'm copying to. So there are a number of options with this particular smart tags, and you're going to see a variety of smart tags popping up throughout the lessons as you see different actions being taken. Watch for them, and I'll try and hit them whenever they make sense. So that's copy-paste. Now, we all know the shortcut keys for copy-paste, right? If I select another row of data, for example, I can use the shortcut Control-C for copy or Control-X for cut. That's a Windows standard, and it applies to 99.9% of all Windows applications. What you've probably noticed already is that the task pane popped up as soon as I did that copy function again. This has to do with the clipboard. Windows has a clipboard. As an operating system, Windows provides us with a clipboard, and it's the means by which we can copy information from one application to another. The Windows clipboard is a temporary holding area for anything that we cut or copy from an application. For example, if I was in Microsoft Word, the Windows clipboard will be receiving any text that I clip out of Microsoft Word. Then I can go ahead and paste it into a web page or another application, Excel included. When I copy a second piece of information, that will be removed from the Windows clipboard, and the new information that I'm copying or cutting will replace my original text. So the limitation of the Windows clipboard is that it can only hold one thing at a time. The Microsoft Office development team has produced the Office clipboard, which works between Office applications, and it gives you a little more flexibility. Here you can see the last 2 copy functions that I've done. As soon as I made that second copy of new information, it opened up this clipboard to offer me access to all of those previous copy functions, and I can quickly bounce back and forth copying old copies into new areas by just selecting them from the list that's accumulating on the right-hand side. So I used Control-C to copy this group of cells. Now I'll select a new cell and do Control-V, V as in Victor, which is the shortcut for paste. Control-X, C, and V is cut, copy, paste, and that's a Windows standard that applies to any application. To illustrate my next point, I'm going to undo that last paste, and this time I'm going to select a single piece of data, here from the first quarter in the east. Now that dancing marquee is in my way just a little bit, but it's not going to affect this action. I also have options for moving data, And that can be done simply by hovering over the thick outline of my active cell. And when I get that four-way arrow, I can click and drag that data down to a new cell, and it moves the data from where it was to where it is now. That's a very fast way of moving a range of cells or an individual cell. I'm going to put that back real quick. Click and drag, and you have to hover right over the border. When your thick cross sign turns into the four-way arrows, that's when you can click and drag the contents of a cell to a new area. Another option that you have, if I select this value, 38,700, is I can click on the rectangle in the bottom corner. Notice the difference. I have a fat plus sign, my four-way arrows, and here I have a thin plus sign. When I click and drag that, it's copying that information down for me. And again, you'll notice we have a smart tag. Let's see what this one says. These are autofill options. By default, I simply copied the cell. 38,700 got copied from C3 to C4. I can also fill a series. Let me show you that. I'm going to go over to a new column and just type the number 1. And let me click on another cell. There we go. We have the value 1 entered. When I click on the rectangle in the bottom right-hand corner, I can drag out as many as I'd like to fill in this series. Now, by default, it's copying 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 all the way down. But I have my smart tags down here so I can modify that behavior, and instead I'm going to ask it to fill in a series. When I do, it simply increments that number by 1 every time I go down. Now I can prompt it to fill in a series automatically by entering 2 pieces of data. Here in H2, I'll put 1, I'll use the down arrow, and I'll put 2. Now we have 2 values entered. Let me select them both, and this time when I grab that rectangle and I drag down, it's automatically filling a series because it sees where I've been headed and just continues on in that path. I can fill into odd series by going 1, 3. I'll highlight those and drag that down. So my intention was to use odd numbers. It saw my pattern and just continued on. I could do the same thing with even numbers. 2, 4, highlight those 2 and drag them out. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, etc. It can even do odd series. Not sure what it's going to do here. Let's try this. 1, 5, 9, 11. I'll highlight those 4 values and I'll drag that out. And there it goes. It developed a series based on my first 4 entries. Deleting data within a worksheet is a piece of cake. As you can see, I've got this latest series selected. Just tap the delete key, and away it goes. Now remember, I'm deleting contents, not the cells themselves. So I can go ahead and select this data, tap the delete key, or I can move around to individual cells with my arrow keys and delete any piece of data I want. It's very easy. I can also highlight a range of cells, go up to the Edit menu and click Delete. I can get rid of entire rows or columns. So let's get rid of those columns, and away they go. Last but not least is Paste Special. And this is a whole lot of power that's hiding up here. If you select a range of cells and you copy them any way you'd like, I'm just going to go up to the Edit menu and say Copy. That way, when I go back up to the Edit menu, it's familiar, and I say Paste Special. Paste Special is a very powerful command that allows you to do all kinds of exceptional pasting. For example, I can paste all, which is the default. I can paste the formulas only, so if I had some kind of a mathematical calculation happening, it would only move those formulas over. If I choose to paste values, then it's going to paste the numerical result from those formulas. If I paste the formatting, then I can copy the types of bolding or alignment or coloring that I've done on any particular cell to another cell. I can paste only the comments. And then there's a lot of things that we haven't talked about yet, so I'll leave that for a future discussion.